New setup? Maybe? Possibly? Good morning, YouTube! What's up, everybody? I hope you're safe and healthy and happy and doing okay. I've been looking at some of my recent recap videos where I've been on this couch and I'm kind of digging the setup, so I figured I'd try something different today and do a first run impressions video from the couch. I don't know, am I alone on this? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you not really care? Cool, just let me know in the comments down below. Okay. You know, everyone was very sad that you were not in this video, especially Kofuzi. So, I know you wanted to make an appearance. All right. But like I said, today we're going to do a first run impressions video, and this is a good one because it's a shoe that surprised me. You know that saying, you should never judge a book by its cover? Well, I have to be honest, sometimes I do judge shoes by their looks and determine, oh, I'm not gonna like that because of XYZ, this is just not gonna be my thing. And I did that with this shoe, and it's the Adidas or Adidas, whatever. I'm gonna say Adidas because I feel kind of like a poser saying Adidas. It's the Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 2. And it's way too many names. If I miss one of the A words in there, just bear with me. It's a mouthful. We really got to fix this naming, Adidas. Now, another thing that you should know is that I'm not coming at this shoe having tried the first version. I never got my hands on it. So this is my first experience with an Adidas super shoe. But honestly, I didn't think I was gonna like this shoe for a number of reasons, and we're gonna talk about all those today, but first you have to sit through the run footage, and then we'll chat about the AAA Pro 2. Before we get started today, I do want to let you know that this shoe was sent to me by Running Warehouse and Adidas. However, neither company is paying me to say anything or to make this video. They can't tell me what to say, and all of my opinions, as always, are my own. So let's quickly go over the specs. For a men's size 9, and I believe this is a unisex shoe because I have a men's 9.5 here, but for a men's size 9, this comes in at 8.0 ounces, and for my size men's 9.5, this shoe comes in at 8.1 ounces, so that makes sense to me. It has an 8.5 millimeter drop with 39 millimeters of stack in the heel and 30.5 in the forefoot. And according to Adidas, a men's 9.5 is the equivalent to a women's 10.5. So that leads me to believe that this shoe is true to size. So as always, let's start with the upper of the Adizero Adios Pro 2. Here, Adidas is using their single layer stellar mesh material. It is extremely breathable to the point that you can see your entire sock right through that forefoot. As far as overlays go, they've managed to put a couple here and there throughout the midfoot, and then we have this big Adidas logo that I do think helps to structure the shoe a bit. However, if we move back to the heel counter, it is pretty soft and flimsy, just a little bit of structure, but it does seem to hold my ankle and my heel in place somewhat. So we'll just get the heel out of the way here really quickly. Like I just said, it is kind of flimsy. You're not really gonna get too much in terms of support. There is a little bit, like this little like bone looking layer here that does kind of hold it in place a little bit better. But in my experience, a lot of these super shoes don't have the sturdiest of heel counters. It wasn't anything that I noticed on the run, but it is something that I want to point out if that is a problem for you. And the heel counter does come up a bit high here. I didn't have any problems with rubbing or blistering, but I have heard some people do have irritation. However, my sock that I wore had like a little bit of a lip on it and it came up higher, so no problems for me. Just a warning to you all. And last thing, if you look at the ankle collar here, it's pretty darn minimal. There's some padding on the inside. I thought this was going to be a problem, but it ended up not being a problem at all. Just something to be aware of if you do like a little bit of extra cushion around your ankle. All right, so going back to the front of the shoe, the forefoot, like I said, is extremely breathable. It's great for going fast, and especially for the summer months that a lot of us are experiencing right now. Big thumbs up there. And another thing that I do feel about this shoe is if you turn it this way, you see you have a pretty good amount of room here in that forefoot area. It's nice and wide. I didn't feel crunched up in there like I do in some other super shoes. I had just the perfect amount of room. And I also don't think that the midfoot gets too incredibly narrow to where you feel like you're spilling over the side of the shoe, or if you have a wider foot, you might have a problem. I think they did a pretty good job here of making the midfoot a little bit narrower than the forefoot, but not making it too narrow that they're kind of eliminating the amount of runners who can wear this. The feeling of the sellar mesh is a little bit reminiscent of the original Next Percent with the Vapor Weave, but I do think this is a little bit more breathable. But yeah, it's that same kind of like plasticky feeling. One thing that I wasn't really a big fan of on this upper was the lacing system and the tongue. The tongue is not gusseted at all, and it's a tiny little thin piece. So that mixed with the fact that this shoe is hard to get on your foot and the lacing is really not so great, it just makes this area kind of subpar for me. And I saw Believe in the Run actually said the same thing, where you really have to like cinch down these laces to get a good fit in this shoe, but it's not easy to cinch them down. It's like I was really trying to like pull each one just to get my foot to stay on the platform, and I don't really want to work for that. I don't want to have to work to get my shoe on and feeling right. Overall, to my surprise, once I finally got this shoe on my foot the way I wanted it to feel, I forgot about the upper entirely, and it wasn't a problem. It was kind of like it melted off of the shoe. I didn't have any hot spots, blisters, or irritation. And overall, I think while there are some things that I would improve about this upper, it is pretty decent, and I can't knock it too much. Now let's move on to what everybody wants to know about, the midsole. So we got three things to talk about here in the midsole. First, we have Adidas's Light Strike Pro foam. It is their premium, highest quality foam that they make. I believe it's another PEBA-based foam. I'd have to check on that. But it is extremely bouncy and responsive and cushioned. But that's not all. We have, of course, carbon in the shoe as well. So in the heel, Adidas has actually incorporated a carbon plate, and that's to help optimize energy return, but also keep the shoe a little bit more stable. But the real story here is in the forefoot and what they've got going on. So as you all know, in all of these super shoes, we have carbon plates. Adidas has a different take on that. Instead of keeping this a flat piece of carbon that just kind of sits here, they've created something called carbon energy rods. And what those do is they sort of like act as the metatarsals of your foot. And then they kind of go like this and spread out into different rods. So these rods, they sit in the foam like this, and your foot sits over the rods. You can kind of see some of them here and get an idea of what I'm talking about. So a very interesting take, and one that makes you scratch your head and wonder Is this legit? Does this really work, or is it just kind of a gimmick to be different? Now, to be completely honest with you, I do think that it works, and I think it works well. However, I don't feel a drastic difference between the way this feels and the way like a standard carbon plate does. I think they both get the job done pretty sufficiently, but I don't think it's that much more unique. Now, remember how I said in the beginning of this video that I didn't think I was going to like this shoe at all? Well, that is for a couple of reasons. The first being it just seemed incredibly high stack here. If you turn the shoe, especially to the medial side, I was like, ooh, this is going to just ruin my foot strike. As you guys know, I collapse. My arch collapses like there is no tomorrow. And I just thought this would be a total death sentence for me, especially because of this cutout here. Like, what is this? What is this, like a high heel? It's like a Steve Madden platform shoe. However, I was wrong. So fellow running YouTuber Ben Parks, it's weird to say fellow running YouTuber because we're not even on the same wavelength. He has like 100,000 subscribers or something, but he's a running YouTuber and so am I. Anyways, I watched his video on this shoe and he was saying that it just does not work for him. And I was like, oh, I wonder why that is. So as I was watching his running footage, it was clear that he was landing like this in the shoe, and the shoe just like could not recover and come back to the center. So on one of his shoes, he was like running literally on the outside of his foot like this, and it looked like the shoe was collapsing. And he obviously noticed that. He had a really good explanation for why that was happening. He was saying that the medial side of this shoe is kind of jacked up a little bit. So it sits a little bit higher than the lateral side does. And that's supposed to create stability. But for someone who lands on the outside of their foot already, they're having a big problem kind of getting back to the center because this is jacked up kind of high. However, for someone like me who arch collapses like this jacked up piece right here is actually a big help for me because it's preventing me from falling too inward. It kind of goes up, nope, no, you can't do that, and it centers me back to where I need to be. So really, this shoe is one of the more stable carbon plated shoes that I've tried that works for me. I was really happy about that, and I guess one man's trash is another woman's treasure. I do still pronate in this shoe just a bit, but it is nowhere near as bad as some of the other super shoes I've tried. What have I used this for so far? I had a workout on Wednesday where I did 4 1-mile repeats with 3 minutes of jogging in between. And I have to say that I had a warm-up mile and a cool-down mile, and I wore the shoe for all of it. It felt fine on the warm-up mile and fine on the cool-down, but during those 1-mile repeats, the shoe really felt pretty darn nice. Those 1-mile repeats were supposed to be at marathon pace, which is like an 8-minute range for me-ish. And I got all of the repeats done in like a 7:40 range. And it didn't feel hard to grip on or grab onto that pace in this shoe. Once I got it going, it was kind of like on cruise control. And then today I took it out again just to run it in a little bit more and see if maybe I can take it on my long run Sunday. And I ran easier. I did like a 8:39 pace. I'm really not supposed to be going that fast on my easy days, but in this shoe, it's kind of easier to do that. I would say that it is probably a little bit firmer than something like the Next Percent here. This just has like a little bit more give perhaps, and you feel slightly lower to the ground. This feels kind of tighter and slightly more aggressive maybe. The one thing I will say is that this carbon plate in the heel might be like a little too firm for me. Yes, there's plenty of cushioning there, but the carbon plate might make it a bit firmer, so I have to watch to see if that aggravates my PF at all. I haven't really felt too much in the way of aggravation, but it is something that I want to keep an eye on. The real test will be the long run, so I guess once I finish the long run on Sunday, I'll put a comment, I'll pin it down below and just tell you how it went. But yeah, I don't know. I think that this is really great. I think they have something here. It definitely competes with the other super shoes that I've tried, and I like it better so far than some of the other super shoes I've tried recently. I've never really run an Adidas shoe that's wowed me until now. Like, this definitely wowed me. The New Bostons I wear with jeans. I'll put it that way. Turning the Adizero Adios Pro 2 over, you'll see that Adidas is using Continental rubber in this forefoot area, covers the entire forefoot, and then we have 2 pieces of Continental rubber in the heel. Looking at this upon first glance, I was kind of like, I don't know about that. There's no traction pattern, just smooth as can be under there. But I have to say, again, pleasantly surprised because this does grip onto surfaces pretty well. I haven't taken this out on a rainy day, but I have kind of experienced, I don't know, like puddles, wet patches of concrete, that sort of thing. And I, of course, took this shoe right through it, and I didn't feel like it suffered at all. Felt like it still gripped on pretty well. I actually kind of like this smooth rubber because it's thin, and I feel like it's still gonna be durable, and it also doesn't affect the ride of the shoe. Because I think if this shoe had some kind of like crazy traction pattern or some sort of different kind of rubber that was maybe a little bit thicker, that would change the ride and make the foam feel a little too firm. So I think that we do a nice job here of having great traction, keeping it durable, and also not impacting the ride. The Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 2 is $219.95 on runningwarehouse.com, which is more expensive than some super shoes and less expensive than others. So do with that what you will. I think that for a super shoe, not for a regular shoe, but for a super shoe, of this caliber, it is a pretty decent price, and I do think that this shoe, as a super shoe, lives up to that price tag and does get the job done. If you're interested in picking up a pair of the Adizero Adios Pro 2, I will put a link in the description of this video. Keep in mind this is an affiliate link with Running Warehouse, but that doesn't mean much for you. It just helps out my channel so I can keep trying these shoes, putting them to the test, and hopefully helping you pick your favorite super shoe. So in conclusion, just to kind of round out this video, don't judge a book by its cover. Give it a shot because you never know if you're gonna like it or you're not. So far, I am extremely impressed with the AAA Pro 2, and I'm happy about the fact that this might just be a little bit more stable for us overpronators out there. So will this be the 2021 Chicago Marathon shoe? I don't know. You'll have to keep watching the recap videos to find out. Well, that concludes my first run impressions of the Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 2. Please shorten that name. If you enjoyed this video, please like it down below and subscribe. And when you're done with all that, hit the notifications bell so you can find out every time I upload a new video. I'm also kind of digging the looks of this shoe. What do you guys think? I have some more videos for you next week, but in the meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like Heller. See you next time. Are you done?